Well, Judge, what's the underlying cause for your ruling today? What struck you most about the Hurst motion in Florida and what happened out of the Florida case? And just explain that.
Well, one, as I said during my ruling, the Hurst decision by the U.S. Supreme Court was relating to the Florida capital sentencing scheme specifically. Since the attorneys around the state have filed motions, and particularly in this court, asking for the court to find the death penalty scheme here in Alabama unconstitutional, I had to look at whether or not it was applicable relating to Hurst. And everything that is available for anyone to review, lawyers or even citizens here in the state, will find that the Alabama capital sentencing scheme is based in large part on the Florida scheme.
And you mentioned in your ruling from the bench several other problems you saw: partisan elections, indigent. Can you just quickly explain some of the things that bothered you and how that relates to the death penalty?
Well, personally, it doesn't matter whether or not I agree with the way that we choose judges in our state, but as it relates specifically to capital punishment in this state, I had to look at the law as it relates to protecting a defendant's constitutional rights. And the Constitution of our country requires that people are given a fair process implemented by fair and impartial judges. And currently, the way that we select judges in this state does not comport with the constitutional requirements of the United States. And you all know, and based on the elections that are going on right now, you can listen to judicial elections and ads and campaign information and rhetoric, and in many ways you cannot separate the rhetoric from that of a person running for any other office. And the canons that guide and give us direction as to how we are to behave and conduct ourselves as judges clearly admonishes that sort of behavior. And in Alabama, the statistics, it's not my opinion, but the statistics clearly show that the death penalty here is being imposed at or around or near during election seasons, and it's being imposed far more than states 5 times the size of Alabama. So that in itself should shock everyone's conscience, and it is in violation of our Constitution.
How about as it relates to budget?
Well, budgetary concerns, we have a lot of issues here in Jefferson County, and I have been trying, and I have written letters to the sheriff's office. I've written letters to the county commission regarding security in this building. Because of budget cuts, we do not have enough bailiffs. We do not have enough courtroom security. The sheriff, pursuant to the law, is responsible for bringing the inmates up, taking the inmates down, and securing the courtroom. That is not happening. And so our bailiffs have been instructed to only secure the safety of the judge, which leaves someone's grandmother who is serving on a jury open to anything that may happen in case of a security breach. I think that is unconscionable. And I think that the people of this state deserve better. And they need to know that because the judicial branch is not being funded, the clerk's office is not operating as it should, people are being arrested unlawfully and detained unlawfully, information is not being submitted to the court from the jail so that we can have hearings in a timely manner. People are being lost in the jail. I had an inmate who stopped my bailiff several months ago, maybe a year ago. He had been there, we don't know how long, but he said he didn't get a hearing. No one has come down to get him. We didn't know he was there. And so when the legislature doesn't fund the judicial branch, it causes these sorts of constitutional violations, and it causes us as judges to have to operate with nothing. We don't have law clerks here in the criminal division, and we have to make a decision about life or death without anybody to help us research or anyone to help us to draft our opinions and enter the proper sites as other courts do across the nation. And it's unfortunate, but I think Alabama deserves better, and the law requires better.
Well, who should decide life or death, juries or judges?
Well, according to the ruling in Hurst, any punishment that is greater than what the statute requires should be decided by a jury of a person's peers, the community. And especially in light of the fact that Alabama is the only state that has partisan elections for choosing its judges, that allows for a judge to override a jury's decision to give a person life instead to give them death, it is obvious that there is arbitrary and capricious implementation of the death penalty statute here in Alabama.